In this video, we discuss about sexual reproduction from the same topic, that is reproduction in lower and higher animals. In previous video, we discussed about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a uniparental reproduction and organisms are completely similar with their parents morphologically and genetically, and they are called as clones. Now we see this characteristic of sexual reproduction. The organisms produces through sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction are always biparental. So male and females are involved in this reproduction. So it is always biparental. That's why it's also called as amphimixis. Also called as amphimixis. Then biparental reproduction called as amphimixis. Both mitotic and mitosis and meiosis division takes place. It shows both mitosis and meiosis division. Gametes are formed. We know that gametes are specialized cells which are essential for the reproduction. So gametes are formed, and gametes are formed by this special type of division that is called as meiosis. Okay, and then fusion and fertilization. Fertilization takes place. Yes, gametes are formed, fertilization takes place, and organisms or daughter organisms are genetically differ from parents. Daughter organisms are genetically differ. Why they are genetically differ with their parents? Because they shows a meiosis type of division for the production of gametes, and during this meiosis there is a recombination takes place. So daughter organisms are genetically differ. Because of that recombination, the organisms which is produces after sexual reproduction, that is differ genetically from their parents. And sexual reproduction is a slow process. So sexual reproduction is slow process as compared to the asexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is called as amphimixis. Why? Because both parents are involved, male and female are involved in this. So it shows both type of division. In sexual reproduction, both type of divisions are seen, that is mitosis, equational division, meiosis, reductional division. And gametes are formed from meiosis. Okay, so by this type of division, gametes are formed. Gametes are always haploid. Haploid gametes are formed, and then fertilization. Male and female gametes are fertilized, fuses and fertilizes. And the daughter organisms, whatever daughter organisms produces after fertilization, so these daughter organisms are genetically differ from their parents. This is very important point. And why they are differ from their parents? Because they shows recombination. Gametes are produces, and gametes are produces from meiosis, and in meiosis recombination takes place. So daughter organisms are genetically differ from their parents, and this is slow process as compared to the asexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction shows 4 basic processes. So you understand this? Now sexual reproduction shows 4 basic processes. First, that is gamete formation. Gamete formation male and female gametes are formed in this process. Then second is fertilization. Formed gametes are fuses and fertilizes. Then after fertilization, result is there, that is formation of first diploid cell, that is called as zygote. Remember that the first diploid cell is called as zygote. And then embryogenesis. Embryogenesis. After fertilization, zygote shows what? That is mitotic division. Zygote shows mitotic division, equational division, and through this equational division, embryo is formed. And then next is development phase. So embryo is developed into full young ones. Complete organism is produced through this. So gamete formation, through which haploid cells are produced, haploid gametes are produced from male organism and female organisms. Fertilization, in which male and female gametes fuses and fertilizes. Result of the fertilization is formation of first diploid cell, that is called as zygote. And after formation of zygote, it shows the mitotic division, mitotically divide, and it produces number of cells, and that is converted into embryo. And this embryo shows development, and from that embryo, complete new organism is produced. That is the development stage. Okay, so every sexually reproducing organism shows two major phases in their life. That is, first is juvenile phase. Phases of sexually reproducing organism. So first is juvenile phase. Now what is that juvenile phase? From birth to this phase, that is just a physical growth of that organism takes place in juvenile phase. म्हणजे या फेज मध्ये कुठलाही ऑर्गॅनिझम रिप्रोड्यूस करू शकत नाही. सेक्शुअली रिप्रोड्यूसिंग ऑर्गॅनिझम्स आर नॉट शोज reproduction during this phase. We call it as just a physical maturity phase. Physical maturity phase. In this phase, the reproductive organs becomes mature. Physical maturity phase. So that is called as juvenile phase. And remember that during this phase, no any organisms reproduces. Any organisms are not able to reproduce during juvenile phase. It is just a physical maturity phase, during which phase the organisms are become physically mature and the reproductive organs also becomes mature. And the second and important phase, that is reproductive maturity phase. Reproductive maturity phase. Now it is the end of juvenile phase, and here all the reproductive organs becomes mature and the organisms are able to reproduce. Organisms are able to reproduce, that means they are produces young ones like them. Okay, so reproductive maturity phase, reproduction takes place during this phase. It is the end of juvenile phase and actual reproduction takes place in this phase. So this is the reproductive maturity phase. So reproductive maturity phase starts in case of humans at the puberty period. Puberty. So in case of male, it is 12 to 16 years, and in case of female 10 to 14, averagely 10 to 14 years. So after this, the humans are able to, shows this reproductive maturity phase. They are able to show the reproduction. Their reproductive organs are mature. Now the reproduction, sexual reproduction is divided into 3 phases. So this is on the basis of what? 2 phases, 2 main phases, that is juvenile phase and reproductive maturity phase. Now we see sexual reproduction is divided into 3 parts. Sexual reproduction divided into 3 parts, that is pre-fertilization, events, then fertilization, second is fertilization event, and third, that is post-fertilization. Okay, so first is a pre-fertilization, second is a fertilization event, and third is a post-fertilization event. So in pre-fertilization event, actually these are the phases, various events. Yes, these are the events: pre-fertilization event, fertilization event, and post-fertilization events. So in pre-fertilization events, again 2 phases are there. Pre-fertilization, in which gametogenesis, the phase which are before the fertilization. So in which what exactly takes place? या events मध्ये काय होईल? Gamete formation, gametogenesis. So gametogenesis, in which male gametes and female gametes are produces, and gamete transfer, of gamete from male to female, gamete transfer. So this is pre-fertilization event. It takes place before fertilization. What exactly takes place? That is the gametogenesis and gamete transfer. In case of human, that is spermatogenesis. Genesis means formation, and oogenesis in case of female. In case of male, sperms are produced, and in case of female, egg cell are produced by the process of oogenesis. So this is called as gametogenesis and gamete transfer, which are involved in the first event, that is called as pre-fertilization event. And second is fertilization event, in which fusion of male and female gamete. So male and female gamete fuses, and the result of this, it produces a first diploid cell, that is called as zygote. First diploid cell is produces after the fertilization, and that is called as zygote. Remember that zygote is first diploid cell, okay, and these gametes are always haploid. And fertilization, after fertilization, important phases, important steps, that is embryogenesis. So zygote is divided mitotically. So it shows formation of what? Embryo. Embryogenesis, embryo formation, and then developmental stages, okay, seen in post fertilization event. So after zygote formation, zygote divide mitotically and it produces embryo, and from this embryo all the number of cells, then germinal cells are produced, and from that organs are produced in organism, and from this complete organism is developed. So this is the development takes place. Development of fetus, through which new organisms are completely developed. So pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization events. So in pre-fertilization, gametogenesis and gamete transfer phases, while in fertilization, male and female gamete fuses and it produces zygote, while in case of in third phase, third event, that is post-fertilization, zygote produces embryo. It divides mitotically and it produces what? Embryo, and this embryo develops into complete fetus. That is complete organism, development of new organism. Development of fetus or development of new organism after this, in this post-fertilization event. So you understand this sexual reproduction shows these three major events: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. So pre-fertilization, gametogenesis, gamete transfer. Fertilization, in which male and female gametes are fuses and it shows zygote production, and post-fertilization, in which embryo is produces. So embryogenesis. Now breeding. In case of sexual reproduction, organisms are classified on the basis of their breeding seasons. They are divided into two classes. On the basis of time, they are divided into two classes. Some are seasonal breeders. Seasonal breeder means they are reproduce at a particular stages, a particular seasons. Okay, for example, cow, goat, sheep, frog, such organism, some birds. Such organisms are called as seasonal breeders. They reproduce at a particular season. That's why they are called as seasonal breeders. While some are continuous breeders. Continuous breeders. Like they reproduce throughout the year. Human, apes, rat, rabbit. So such type of organism, poultry, honeybees. So such organisms are called as continuous breeders. So in sexually reproducing organisms, they are divided into two classes on the basis of their seasons, on the basis of timing of their breeding. Okay, so seasonal breeders, they reproduce at a particular seasons, while continuous breeders, they reproduce continuous throughout the year. Thank you.